All right. Can everyone hear me? Okay, perfect. I think there are some reactions right there, so I believe that everyone can hear me. All right. Hi, everyone. I am excited and honored to be here with you all, and I do not take this privilege lightly at all. And thank you very much, Nifemi, for inviting me as a speaker. I'm highly honored. And yeah, I really want this to be an interactive session. As much as I will be the one speaking, I'll be asking a few questions along the line, and I want you to be able to answer me so that I know that we're on the same page. I hope that's fine. And I'll be definitely sharing like some experiences that I've had and even like how that can relate to you in one way or the other. But first of all, I would like to ask like how many of you on this call have like some sort of maybe you work in marketing or you already create content, anybody like that? Anybody? Okay, Damilola says, gift says, okay, I think, okay, Rosemary also says, okay, that's great. Thank you very much for responding. Maybell says she does as well. Um, at least so to a good extent, you have an idea of what we're doing on the call today. So first of all, I would like if I'm already introduced me, I'm a creator. I do my best because I usually say that I'm just a girl at the end of the day. But yes, first of all, I'd like to say that right now, as a person, you probably see that if you are interacting on the internet or on social media, whatever social media platform, you can see that if you don't like a content, you're probably just scrolling away. So like almost every content, for every content that you see, you probably have everybody probably has like less than 3 seconds to make it count. Right. So if it doesn't count, there's a chance that they're going to swipe away. So this is why it's important that you're giving quality. Now, I would always say that for content, you're not creating content for views. You're not creating content just so that people can see that I'm a content creator. You're creating content for influence. You're creating content like the word Nifemi used for legacy, right? You are not just going there to just while away time. You're not going there to just show some sort of folly. You're there to impact people, right? And so your intent, your motive is very important when it comes to creating content, right? So I would start with my story and I will just narrow that down. But before I do that, I was supposed to create like some slides, but I couldn't meet up. So I just said, you know what, I'm going to do this based on my notes, the notes that I have. Now, I want you to imagine somebody, um, I want you to imagine someone pouring water in a cup, sorry, in a cup, right? In a cup, but using a funnel, and they have like something underneath. So if there is no bottle, if there's no bottle, the water that they're pouring is probably like splitting in different places. It's probably like pouring all over the place. It's not a case of they're pouring it directly in a bottle. So let's say there are two people now. One person is pouring water in a bottle using a funnel, and the water is just going straight into that bottle. Now the second person is pouring water, but they have like let's say like a wide container, but now the container is like flat, is a flat container. I want you to imagine these scenarios, right? The person who is pouring the water in the bottle, the water is just going right straight into that bottle. And the other person, the water is coming out, but it's splashing in different places. Now, with that visual mentality, or with that visual notes that you have made, as I said, like think about it. Which of these would you rather do? Would you rather pour the water in the bottle and just let it slow down, or you pour the water in a flat surface and let it just splash around. I want you to think about it, and I want you to think about it in relation to creating content. Anybody wants to share which of those two they will be doing? I really want us to answer this because I'm going somewhere with this. Anybody? Nobody. Guys.
There's some in the comments, so some people have put
Oh,
stuff
okay,
in the
okay, okay. I
comments.
see in the comments. Okay,
Wait,
okay,
wait, wait,
okay.
they were
Okay,
pouring
I can
yeah.
see Chibueze say that they'll pour into the bottle. Okay, great. Any other question? Okay. So I will answer, I will go ahead and answer with that response. Now, as much as it makes, I mean, like ideally it makes sense to pour the water in a bottle, right? And the water will just go straight down. But with the other one, you're pouring it in on a flat surface, or maybe on a in a different bowl, and now it's splashing all over. Now, in relation, the reason why I asked that question is in relation to content creation. Now, with normal, like the idealistic way that would be, it would just be that, oh, it just makes sense to pour the water using the funnel and a bottle. But many people do that when it comes to content. When you create content, you find that there are people who are just doing one thing. They're just maybe focusing on one platform, or focusing on particular one particular means of doing something, rather than actually finding different funnels or different ways to actually make sure that they're also making money and reaching more people, right? So when it comes to content, it's very important that you're thinking numbers, you're thinking people, right? And not just trying to fill up the bottle. So, like I said, ideally, it will make sense to just pour it in the bottle and know, oh, I'm going to fill up the bottle. But when it comes to the other way, the water definitely will splash. Now you are branching into other would I say channels. You're branching into other means of making money, right? I just said that we're going to come back to that, but I just want to say a few things, and then I would circle back to that example later on. Now, when you want to start content creation, like some people already said earlier that they have some sort of experience, they sort of work in marketing. Now, I'll say that for everybody, we all have a different why, right? So for creating content, you have to have a reason. Like I mentioned earlier, there has to be a motive. What is that thing that is driving you to create content? Now, I would use myself as an example, and I will say my story. So to be fair, when I first started creating content, I didn't see it as creating content, right? I've always wanted to be on TV. I wanted to be a TV presenter, radio presenter. Now, that was my dream. But this dream, like, it wasn't a big deal because initially I just wanted to go to school, have good grades, and when I'm done, I'll probably then focus on being a presenter. But it didn't really dawn on me until when I was in university, and I already like started studying something else. I studied statistics when I was in university. And in my first year, I was like, you know what? As much as I like this, I really want something different for myself because I wanted to be on TV. But that drive didn't come on time. It came like later on. And so right there and then I started to intern at radio station, my school radio station, another radio station in the city where my school was. And that was how it started for me because I wanted to talk. I just wanted to share my knowledge. I wanted to hear what people thought. So I also bring that into the content I create now. As much as I have opinions, I also want to hear what people think, right? So that's one thing that really was a driving force for me. As much as I wanted to share what I knew, I also wanted to hear other people's opinions and how their opinions can shape the world or how their ideas can shape the world. Right? So that was how I started creating content. I don't know, maybe I don't know if I can share my screen. Nifemi, do I have um Do I have
Yes,
access
you
to
can.
share my screen?
Yes,
Okay.
you can.
Maybe as we go ahead, I would look for like I'll share my screen and show you like the first few videos I made when I was trying to like branch into TV. I'd done like a few auditions. I'll do auditions. I'll go into the radio station. So like that was already building my would I say my behind the camera kind of thing, right? As much as I wanted, like I said, I wanted to be on TV. So those auditions, those trial videos were already like building me up to where I wanted to be. Now, as much as when I was then done with school, as much as I wanted to work in TV, I'm from Nigeria, and at the time, the places where I had found like placements, they didn't really pay people. And you know what they say, like before you chase your passion, you have to be able to fend for yourself, right? So I then now started to look at something else. Now, mind you, I didn't study marketing in the university. I had done something totally different. So it was after school because obviously I needed a job that was going to pay me and like fend for myself. I then started to branch properly into social media. I started to do like social media management because along the line I've done a few courses, Google courses here and there, done a few Google courses online. So that gave me like knowledge on how social media runs. So I started to manage a social media page for a company at the time, and it began to progress from there. And from there, I applied to work in a fintech, and I was doing marketing, and I was also working in the customer experience space. So I was doing marketing, I was doing content, and I was also working on the customer side. So I don't know if you can see that at some point, I didn't necessarily do everything I wanted to do, but it just began to align because to a large extent, they were all like focusing on people and people's needs, right? So I began to see rather to see how people think and then see like the things that people are really interested in. So now this brings me to creating content for people, right? So I would also say that like I said, it helped me to see like what people really wanted because I was interacting with people either physically or online and just really seeing people's pain points because like I said, I was already now working in the customer side of marketing. I was also doing marketing. I was doing social media management. So I began to see how things were and the things that people really wanted to see, right? Obviously, I know that social media has changed over time, but people will always be people. And then we all have like general things that just help us click. And I'll say that that has helped me see from the people side and not just my side of creating content and just saying it's just what I like or what I want that I'm going to post. Now there's a place of creating what you like or posting what you like. Definitely there is a place for that, right? However, I believe that as you go on, it's very important to pay attention to the things that your audience or the people who are following you want to also see. And that is not to take away from what you want and then focus on, this is just what the people want to see. If what the people want to see is maybe, for example, you create content and you do like educational content and you talk about how people can learn stuff and maybe they don't engage as much, but then you now start to create maybe content in like the relationship space and then you realize that that particular video or that particular piece of content did so well and the one that you're very interested in is not doing so well. You're not going to abandon that and then focus on the relationship bits because that is not the reason why you started in the first place, right? So as much as you would do the relationship bits, you also want to make sure that you are doing what you really desire to do. Because at the end of the day, when you start to create and then you start to make money from it, you are not thinking, I've I've put this at the back burner because at the end of the day, if this relationship content was not your thing in the first place, you get burnt out because you're just doing it for the people, and then not just you're not doing it for yourself as well. So it's very important to decide what you want and then walk towards where you're headed. And then along the line, you can add some other things to what you want to do, right? So I would get to the bit where you are able to um let's say branch out and just do what you really want and not just necessarily say, oh, I'm just doing one thing and I'm going to focus on that thing. I'm never going to try and maybe be funny. I'm never going to try and do this. So we're going to get to that bit. But I just wanted to let you see where I'm coming from and how I've been able to like create content that people connect with. Now, at some point I started to see like if I there's some videos I do, maybe if I dress up, people are like, oh, I like your outfit. And like and then maybe I say where I got it from, and then they go there and they like it, and then they also make a purchase. But I started to see that to a good extent, people like trusted my judgment over certain things because obviously I will not come and lie because I have nothing to gain. It's not like because at the time nobody had ever paid me to do anything, but I was just being myself and I was just doing things that I was interested in, and also like letting people see that, oh, you can actually do this without necessarily doing too much. Right. If you follow me online, you probably know that to be fair, I don't try to be I don't try to be on the aesthetically pleasing side. I just do me and I move on because at the end of the day, what happens on the day when I cannot meet up with those standards that people will expect from me? So I just myself, I'm not trying to I mean, there are days where I overthink some things. Maybe I'm like, oh, this video didn't do so well. But I'm like, you know what? I'm not really doing it for the views. I'm doing it because and I have value to give. And I believe that if someone comes to my page, they don't just come to the page and they see one post and then they go away. They probably would scroll down and be like, oh, there's actually something here. Right. So I'm not just creating for the fun of it. Even before I started getting paid to create content, like I said, always think influence. Not don't just think views, think more like think legacy, think if social media packs up today, like what are people going to remember me for? Right. So always have that at the back of your mind and always think value. Don't just think, oh, um, I'm chasing views or I'm jumping on all the trends that are there. Right. So it's very important that you you put all of this at the back of your mind when creating content. And so after I'd done a few like after I'd started my proper job at the fintech, I then worked there for about 2 to 3 years, and then I chose to do my master's. Now, because I had gotten some form of experience with marketing and just seeing how people are able to interact with content generally. I was like, you know what? I think that I want to be very like I want to go deeper and understand how things are done in this industry, which is why I went ahead and did, excuse me, my master's in digital marketing. And to be fair, I would say that that was a really good decision because beyond just taking courses online, I mean, taking courses online are great, mind you, right? But it helped me see things beyond just taking the course and um just trying out things. But here I was able to then put things into perspective, actually try and then work with like real brands and seeing what another perspective is like, especially like in another country. So I would say that that really helped me. Now I know that not everybody might have the luxury or time to say they want to take like a deeper course or go and take a master's or an undergrad in marketing, right? There's so many resources and platforms where you can get all of this knowledge. The most important thing is making sure that you actually put the knowledge to use because many times we all just learn and we don't use the things that we've learned, and then years along the line we're like, maybe you see someone that you started together and you're like, oh my God, this person is doing so well. That's because not everybody goes ahead to actually do the things that they've already learned. So it's very important that beyond just accumulating knowledge, you are making sure that you're actually using it as well. Now, when it comes to like stories, it's very important that you are telling it's very important that you are telling authentic stories, right? Everybody has a story. You are the way I would say something is probably different from the way Rosemary will say it, right? If both of us go for an event, we definitely would have two different points of views because she's seeing things in a different way. While we were at the same event, seeing the same thing, experiencing the same thing, we will not be able to tell the stories the same way. So how you tell your story is very important, right? You are one of a kind. The way you will speak is different from the way I will speak, right? So it's very important that you understand that you have a voice and everybody should hear your voice. And like Nifemi said, in one way or the other, we all are creators. Now, I was going to say the part, like the bits that I don't know, but I would say that for me, one of the things that helped me, or I would say like maybe people started to know me for at some point when I was back in Nigeria, that I would say really helped my journey was at some point, I think in 20, I started doing active content creation, like proper in, I think 20, I would have, maybe 2020, 2020, 2020 or 2019. I don't really remember right now, right? But when I actively started, I was going for a lot of weddings. So when I go to weddings, what people now do as wedding content creation was what I used to do then. I'll go for weddings, dress up, obviously. When I get to the wedding, I'm like filming every bit that I experienced at the wedding and I'm posting it on my stories. And then people are reaching out to me like, oh my God, thank you for posting this because I couldn't make it for the wedding, but I watched your stories and it felt like I was there. So I'd say that to a good extent, that was I would say that was probably like a turning point for me regarding content. Yeah, maybe people that have been following me will have a different view, but I would say that for me, that was when I like began to notice a level of change maybe in my following. And before I would just like share pictures, a few videos here and there. Like I said, I was just sharing things that I was interested in. I was trying to get into TV. So I went to voiceover school as well. And I was doing voiceovers, trying to get into radio, right? And because obviously, like I said, on the when I couldn't get what I wanted, I started a podcast. So content can be different for everybody. You don't have to be behind the camera. You can start a blog of your own. I know that people say nobody reads again, but that's a lie. There are people who read. There are people who have Substack accounts. You can start your own Substack account, right? And then write your stories. You can even write your experiences if you are not a fan of videos or you're not a fan of editing, because I promise you, creating content, video content has like a whole pipeline. You have to film and then you have to edit and then post, right? And then you probably have to engage. So if you are not that kind of person, you probably want to stick to writing, right? There are roles, content writing roles that tech companies employ for so many things. You can even start your own podcast. People don't necessarily have to see your face. And I know that that might be a worry for a few people that might be on this call. They're probably like, oh, I want to create content, but I don't want anybody to see my face. There's so many things that you can do in that regard. So I just wanted to share my stories and just let you guys know how that has been for me. And to be fair, I wouldn't say that it has been a smooth journey, right? Before I started to earn anything from content, I'd say that it was probably the first time I was paid for content creation. I think it was, I don't remember. Okay, I think 2021. And I think they paid me what now? Maybe 10K. It was like a hair brand. Then they had sent me like extensions and maybe like hair conditioners and all of that. And they paid me 10,000 naira. And yeah, I probably I didn't think big of it because I was like, oh my God, people actually saw that I create content and they reached out to me to say, oh, we will send you something. It was really nice because I didn't think that I was doing anything special. I was just being me and they sent me, oh, we're going to send you a package. And when they sent it, I did a video. They didn't even ask for a video. I don't think they asked for a video, but I did a video and then I was paid as well. So you never know who is watching. So don't look down on yourself like, oh, I don't have anything to share. You have so much to share. You just need to put it to perspective, and that's it. Now, so I want to make a few points now, and I want you to pay attention to this, right? So I would say that this I want to like share with you a framework that I use when it comes to creating content. Now, first thing I do is get clarity, right? Know exactly who you're talking to, right? Know your audience. Now, if you are struggling to know your audience, it is important that maybe you can put out a poll on wherever, maybe whatever social media platform you're on, put out a poll and ask people, oh, what are you interested in? Why are you here? Why did you follow me? And even if you don't have a following yet, maybe you want to start afresh, you can start with your friends and family and ask them, oh, what do you really think I'm good at? What do you like to see? Now I know that there's the caliber of people who are like, oh no, I don't want my family and friends to see me. I'd rather block them. Yes, there's that bit. And I mean, I probably will support people who want to do that because maybe they don't want any unnecessary opinions or maybe anybody trying to pull them down. So if that is your thing, please go ahead. And maybe if you feel like you have gotten some form of, would I say, tough skin, and then maybe you can add them back. That's good, right? No judgments. Just do what is convenient for you as you grow. Now, know your audience, know who the people that you're talking to. You can even check your Instagram or TikTok, wherever it is that you are. Check your insights, check the demographic of the people that are following you. There are ways to check this thing on Instagram. Just check your settings. You can check all of this and you see the age of people who are following you. And by that, you probably know the things that they are interested in, right? Another thing is I make sure that I sound like myself. I'm not trying to copy anybody, right? And to be fair, I know that this can be a bit tricky for some people because maybe they have like a mentor or somebody that they look up to and they're like, oh, I like their content. I want to be like this person. But you don't have to sound like them. You don't have to copy what they do. But you just need to sit with yourself and answer a few questions. I'm going to give you a few questions to answer that would help you decide the kind of content you want to create and how you can even start to create them. Like I said, you don't have to do video content. You can write, you can start a podcast that is audio and people can listen, right? And then you even start to make money from it. And please don't let anybody lie to you. I know that there's been some interesting news now saying, oh, content creators don't get paid anymore. That's not true. People get paid. The creator economy is a booming one. There's money in it. And I've seen people who say that if they never put themselves out, they probably would not be where they are today. If they never put out content, they probably will never be where they are. I want to get to that point where I can say the same. But I want you to know that you can make money from content and don't let anybody take you away from that. Now, another thing I would say that I also do is I try to be consistent. Now, I know that consistency is not easy, but you can do it. Show up even when it doesn't feel like it's adding up, right? It can be really difficult to show up, but all you just need to start. Once you start, you're able to continue. Put structure into what you want to do. Maybe you want to film a 1 minute video, and I promise you, a 1 minute video can end up taking an hour or two of your time, right? because you might see a video that a creator has created and it's just 1 minute, and you're probably like, oh, I can do that. And then when it's time for you to eventually do it, you realize, oh my God, I'm spending an hour, I'm spending 30 minutes, I'm spending so and so time trying to um to actually get to my point. So it's not the easiest thing, right? And another thing I want to say is connection. Create content that it drives conversations, right? And don't always think about the views. Like I said, think value, think think value, think influence, think how am I, like I told you guys, one of the reasons that made me get here is because I wanted to be a TV girl. And that's because I felt like I had something to share. And I always wanted to hear people's views, people's ideas, people's opinions. Now that has helped me up until now because I still have that same goal. I want to share what I know and I want to hear what people think. So as much as I'm trying to give, I'm also trying to hear. I'm also trying to learn as well. So it's not a case of I'm just always saying and saying and saying and I'm not listening to people, right? I know that maybe there are some people who are probably some creators who have probably grown to the point where maybe I don't know, but they probably grown to the point where they don't feel like they need anybody's opinions anymore. But it's very important that you are not just thinking talking or like think connection. There are people who I've met online because they just connected with my content. They felt like, oh, I like what you do. And it's not because I'm creating it because I want them to like it. I'm thinking value first. When I maybe something like it's just like when you buy something and the product was so good, you don't need you don't even need to come to social media. You probably call your friend and be like, oh my God, I bought this thing. And it was not a case of what I ordered versus what I got. It was really what you ordered and that was what you got. Right. So you want to think connection. You want to think, oh, how do I do this in a way that would help me stay connected with people, right? About say praise God, but anyway, so I want us to take, if you're not taking away anything from this call, I want you to take those four things away. Have clarity, know who exactly you are speaking to, like know your audience. Make sure that you are sounding like you. Don't try to copy anybody. Don't try to be like anybody because people like you for you. There's some people you probably follow online today because you just like how they talk or you like how they dress or you they look like somebody that you know, right? Or you just like their smile. Just one thing, people are going to like you for you, right? So don't try to like don't put that at the forefront of what you want to do when it comes to content. Think value. Think, what do I have to offer? Well, at least for me, that's what I think before any other thing. And again, like I said, make sure that it's you're doing what you also like. You don't want to because you don't want to get burnt out. You don't want it to seem as though you're trying to copy someone. There's a book that I really would recommend if you can get it. It's called Show Your Work by Austin Kleon. It's very good. I read that book for the second time this year and it has so many gems. It talks about how like you can share your stories, right? Whether or not you are a creator. Sometimes people just start from just sharing what they know and then they just blow up because they have so much value and knowledge to give and people just start to like them. And that's how some people have grown. That's how some people now even work with certain brands and make so much money out of it. Right. Now, storytelling, because that is like a major thing we're discussing here, how to create content that really connects with people. Now, so I just want to like look through my notes, right? So you can tell your story share your journey, share your process. So, for example, people are drawn to people are drawn to hearing stories. And I laughed because I realized that in our generation or in this day, if I come online today and say, oh, because I have a daughter, I come online today and I say, oh, my daughter's skin went from looking like this to looking like this. And maybe I put a picture of what my daughter's skin was looking like before. And then I put another picture of her skin now. and I say, oh, this is what I did, this is where I got it from, I promise you there'll be so many people in the comments that have probably experienced it before, right? And they're probably in the comments saying, oh, how did you do it? Oh, what did you buy? Oh, where did you get it from? Oh, that's because they can relate. Some people can relate, even if it's not everybody. Even if, okay, maybe if it's even my skin. As a black person, I probably like, as a black lady, I probably suffer from hyperpigmentation at some point. And I come and say, oh, my skin cleared from this to this. I promise you, there'll be so many people reaching out to me in the comments, in the DMs. I see it so much when I share certain things online, and then there's people texting and people like putting comments, right? So again, you just have to tell your stories, or it will never be a miss. You can't go wrong with telling your stories or sharing your progress. Like maybe someone who even says, oh, I started this medicine journey and it just seems like I spent 10 years instead of 6 years, and they're sharing their journey, right? People would just be able to relate, because at some point they might not even be a medical student, but at some point they have felt what it feels like to be delayed, or to have to wait long for something. So sharing your journey, sharing your progress is very important. You are the owner of your journey. You are the, like, it doesn't even have to be your life story. It can be something else. It can be how you were able to teach people how to do something, how you know how to make clothes, like anything, right? So don't box yourself. Don't think that you have to share your entire life story to be a creator, right? So make sure that you are, but at the core of it, make sure that you're able to tell good stories. And how are you able to tell good stories? Now, I want, if you have your books or if you have a note or your phone, I want you to like take down a few things, right? um First thing I want you to think about is, what's one thing that you can talk about? If I ask you to unmute yourself now and talk about something for the next 1 hour, you will keep talking about it and you will not get tired. I want you to write that in your notes. If you can, if you are brave enough, you can just put it in the comments so that we also like are able to interact and see that one thing. Like, what's that thing? I actually want you to write it down, because I believe that that would help you in deciding the kind of content that you want to create, and the kind of things and the kind of stories that you'll be able to tell. Anybody, has anybody reading something? Please write it down, because I believe that you will need it later on. Does anybody want to share? Okay. Oh, okay. Hi, Iche. Hi, for me. Okay. Fashion, motherhood, faith. Okay, that's great. Thank you so much for sharing. Now, the second thing, my faith journey. Okay, next thing I want you to write is, what's one thing that makes you upset? Like, it makes you really angry. One thing that you hate to see. Anything, anybody want to share that? Please write it down, because as much, you might not even have an answer to it now, maybe later on, but I want you to be able to go back to this and be able to dwell on it, and give yourself answers, because that's how you get started with creating content. Hmm. Anybody? Okay, nobody has shared that. Okay, apparently says, when people think they get to fool me. Okay, okay, okay. I like that. Um, Now, for some people, okay, gift says bad drivers, unrealistic expectations of parenting. Oh, I love that. I love all the things that you have said. That's really interesting. And these are things that you can talk about that I'm so sure, bad pattern combinations when it comes to clothes. Oh my God, I can relate. All right. Yeah. So I want you guys to write these things down. So these are things that if you sit with yourself, even if you don't have an answer now, if you sit down and think about it, there are things that you probably would sit down, make a video, even write about that. When you share it, there will always be people that can relate to what you're saying. Right. You just need to structure your thoughts and then put it all together. Um, And it just, because like I said earlier, your perspective is different from another person's perspective. We all don't think the same way. We all have different opinions, right? So that's why your story matters. That's why your POV matters. It's not a case of, oh, somebody has done it before, so I won't do it again. It doesn't work like that, right? It doesn't work like that. Even in the content space, I'm sure you've probably seen somebody that you like or someone you follow. They did a piece of content, and that person did it. It now feels like, oh, they copied this person. No, they didn't. It was just a. I mean, there are people who copy, right? There's that, but there are people who just, so, oh, I can actually do this, right? Because to be fair, there's nothing new under the sun. There's nobody that's coming to create one content today that does not exist before, except maybe they are just inventing that thing from scratch. But there's nothing that exists now that hasn't been before, right? So, like for me, that says she doesn't like bad clothes combinations. I mean, you can start a series on creating, on showing us colors that people can combine, and it will look really great, right? I know that there are people who already do it, but it's going to look different on your body. What I wear is going to be different from how it will look on someone else's body. I always say it because I like fashion. I always say to people, because an outfit is popular or because it is in vogue, doesn't mean that I'll buy it and it will look good on me. Right. So it's very important that you just know what you like and what you're going to stick with. Now, another thing I want to also, that those two questions are the major questions I want to ask you, but I want you to just sit with it, think about things that you 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 would, like I said, things that make you mad, things that you can talk about from now till tomorrow and you will not get tired. Those are things that you can build your story around. Those are things that you can share stories. Like I said, you don't have to you don't have to what do I call it now? You don't have to make a whole, I mean you can, but you don't have to make a whole brand, or you don't have to make it all about, oh, what you what you what you have, just what you have to share, and then everything you share is just that same thing, right? I mean, there are people who do that, but as well, sometimes you want to add a bit of this and that so people can see your personality as well, and not just, oh, I'm sitting in front of the camera all the time and I'm just talking. No personality, nothing. People want to see the real you as well. Now, another thing I also want to say is that please, when you start building, or there are even people who already have gone a bit neck deep into content on this call, maybe, I want you to not always think about views. Please. The when like it was 2 years ago, sorry, maybe in 2023, my followers had just maybe from 4K or 3K. They had just increased to 7K at some point. And that was when I first got to work with Google. I had created a video, in fact, two videos at the time, talking about how, like, I just found out that there was a Google feature that would help me as a student. And so many people were like, oh my God, where has this been all my life? And that video was, I think it had about 100K views. To be fair, it was nice to have the views, right? And obviously, they were going to pay me for that. But it wasn't a case like you would grow, but always like think of the future. That's why I asked the question of the water that I said. So imagine I was creating content now and I only create Instagram content. So I'm just pouring the water in that bottle. I'm not thinking, oh, how can I convert this this audience that I've now gotten, this 7K followers? How can I get them to actually do something else? How can I get them to maybe start buying stuff from me? You might not even be a creator, you might have a small business that you want people to buy stuff from, or you want people to use your services. But and you just feel like, oh, people are just following you every day, but nobody's buying anything that you're selling. How do you get them to actually buy? How do you get them to stay? How do you get them to even go and see what you're selling? Right. So it's not just you don't just think of the views. Some people may have low views, but people are going to their website and people are buying things from their websites. So it's not just about the views. It's not just about the followers, right? Some people have a lot of followers, but nothing, they're not making any money. So beyond just creating and just accumulating the followers, what are the followers going to do for you, right? So I want you to also like think of that as you progress, right? I was going to say that if everybody here was maybe a creator and they had gotten to some point in their creator journey, and maybe they want to now like find other ways to make money from this social media, I would have asked that, okay, what's one thing you want to achieve with that? Right. I would have asked everyone, but I don't know if there are people like that here already, or everyone is just starting. Right. But I want you to know that when you are building, you also like think about, like I said, there's something that you have you have learned from and you want to share. Like some people say, oh, like I gave the example of I was able to clear my skin. Now, for example, let's say I'm clearing my skin, I then decided, you know what, I'm going to start the skincare line. That way, I've told my story. I've said I cleared my skin and blah blah blah. Now, I'm probably going to say, click the link in my bio to order what I used. Now, I have not just made you interested in my story, but I've also tried to make you go and buy the thing that helped my skin. But so um that way, I'm not just thinking about the views or what is happening online at the time. You're also converting those reels, those videos or whatever it is you posted, you're converting it to get you money even when you're sleeping. Right. So that's the whole funnel thing I was talking about. Beyond just posting, are you also making money? Are there other ways you're making money? Right. So I want us to think about that. So if you're just starting, it's fine to not think about money, because to be fair, there will be times where you might not make money immediately. Like I said, when I maybe started creating content initially, how much was I paid? 10K. There were times, there was even one that they just sent me the products and they didn't pay me anything. And mind you, I had to make my hair out of like out of pocket just because I wanted to showcase the brand. So there might be those situations where you will be the one to spend your money, you will be the one to think of an idea, right? And then do it. Now, I was also going to talk about like how to make money. I know that some people might have that question. Maybe you started and it just feels like nobody's noticing you and you really want to work with certain brands. Now, there's one thing I learned from a, a, a coach that I joined the community last year. Her name is Washadi. She had said to me, there may be some brands that you want to work with, and it feels like, oh, they're not paying attention to you. Now, a way to get their attention, because to be fair, if you're in Nigeria, I feel like in Nigeria, brands will probably reach out to you like if you keep tagging them. But you see, like if you are not in Nigeria, if you're in other clients, you might be the one that might need to reach out to brands, right? And then it's not a case of, oh, I'm just going to sit here and they will notice that I'm creating content for them. No, many times it doesn't work like that here. You be the one to probably reach out. Now you might have to send pitches. Sometimes they don't even see the pitch, right? But a good way to get their attention would be to create a piece of content that feels like they already paid you for that content. Now it might look hectic, but you know what you're looking for, right? So you create content like they already paid me for it. Say for example, maybe I bought a I don't know, maybe I bought something, or maybe I bought this pouch now, and I probably like maybe do an unboxing, or maybe I'm using the pouch and I'm just showing my friend that, oh my god, this pouch has so many usefulness. Like I'm able to do so many things with it. Like my pouch has like a cover, whatever here. I'm able to put my cards in it and all of that. But and I'm showing the person that this is all the things that my pouch can do for me. Now, and then I edit it and I post it and I tag them. And maybe I won't talk about them in the video. That way, they would see the video. There are people that will probably see that video and be like, oh my God, this is such a functional pouch. I need to get it. And probably from that video, maybe people actually reach out to you and say, or people in the comments are like, oh my God, I never knew this existed. I need to get it. Right? That way, when you've done that, you're now able to pitch and say, oh, I use your product. And this is what your product has helped me to do. And then you say, oh, I would really love to work with the brand, blah, 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 and then go ahead. Now, it's different if they say, oh, for right now, we're not working with anybody. And rather than just be there, create the content and just let it go. Many times when they see that there is like some form of even interaction on a post that they were tagged in that they didn't pay for, they most likely will reach out to you and say, oh, we actually saw this video, because I've seen people that has happened to. We saw this video that you did, and we think that we want something similar, and then they're willing to pay a premium for it. So that is, to be fair, when you start, there might be situations where you have to do things for free, because obviously you need the experience, you need people to see what you're capable of, right? So that is a different that is another way to to get brands to notice you and even work with you and even start making money. So um like I said, people want to see results, right? And like I said, you are not creating for views, you are creating for influence, you're creating to see results, you're creating to build a legacy, right? If I ask anybody here, if you're already creating content, can you like raise your hand? Anybody? Anybody? Can we still hear me? Hello?
Yes, we can.
Okay, okay. Okay, Fumi Lola, is this an Iyanda and Ololade? Does this mean you can hear me, or are you trying to say that you create content already? Nobody. Oh,
They've on the chat. Yeah.
okay, okay. She doesn't create content yet. Okay, no problem. No worries at all. Um, Another thing I also want to say is for now I just want to quickly like touch on marketing. Now there is different bits of marketing. There is digital marketing, there is content marketing, there's even strategy on its own as well, right? There's different branches to it. However, so sorry, I just want to be sure that my laptop is charging. Give me a moment. All right. Can we still hear me? Okay.
Yes.
All right. Thank you very much. Thank you. Okay. Fumilola says she doesn't create content yet, and she's been planning to start for the past 3 years. Wow, that's interesting. Now, I want you to, before the end of this call, I'm going to, well, it's not like I'm going to come back to ask you, right? But I want, if there's anything I want you to leave here with, I want you to, I'm going to ask everyone to say one thing that they're going to start implementing from this night in regards to their content journey. So Fumilola, I'm expecting soon to start seeing your content, hopefully. Right. So now I want to say that for marketing, now people think that marketing is about, oh, I'm selling a product and I come online and I'm saying, oh, buy with the things I'm selling. Buy, no, that's not what that's not what marketing is, right? Marketing is basically like finding, oh my God, okay. Marketing is basically about finding people who already have a need and you are providing solutions, right? It's not a case of just it's not a case of just saying come and buy what I'm selling. There's so many bits to it. Sometimes like you are also trying to make sure that beyond just selling to them, you make them a returning customer, right? You are not just trying to to just sell and then go away, right? You're making sure that as much as you promote your product or your service, you're also trying to place yourself in a place where they're able to come back and tell people, and then your brand is growing, right? So it's not it's not a case of just come and buy what I'm selling. You're not doing business just to sell for the day and then spend the money. You are in business because you want to create income, continuous income. You want to create impact. You're not just trying to sell and then go away, because nobody wants to be in business and pack up after 3 months. We all want to make sure that our businesses are thriving, right? And whatever that looks like for you, it's very important that you work towards it and make sure that you are getting what you want. Now, I just want to share this before we end the call. Now, if you're building, like how to build a content strategy, I will share like 3 to 4 things. Now, the first one is, like I said, determine your audience, those people who you are trying to target. Now, what is their pain point? Now, I'm going to tell you the truth. Human beings are selfish in one way or the other, right? Um, People like to hear about themselves. People like to talk about themselves. People like to feel like they know you, right? So it's very important that you factor all of this. Like I said in one of the points that I made earlier, I think that was the point after when I said like having clarity now, right? So making sure that you have like you identify the problem of your audience. Now, if I come online or maybe I go on my stories and I say, "Oh, how was your day?" People want to tell me how their day was, or like what's one thing that happened to you this week that really upset you. They probably want to talk about it because it upset them, and it would be nice for them to share it with somebody because they are the ones speaking. So in one way or one shape or form, human beings and that's not a bad thing. It's just that everybody is looking out for themselves. Everybody probably wants to see themselves in another person, right? So that's why I said your story is unique to you, right? Don't feel like you have nothing to share. As long as you have value, as long as you have a voice, there's so much you can share. Another thing is, and like I said earlier, like identify what the problem of your audience is and be so like I don't want to say obsessed, but be be very intentional about finding a solution, right? Don't just come and talk and talk and talk about the problem. What is the solution that you're bringing to the table, right? Everyone likes to feel seen. So it's very important that, again, you are giving value, 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 value. If nothing, please always think value. Now, another thing is making sure that you find like the connector, right? For example, like you're trying to, like, what's the existing problem that you want to talk about? Like I said earlier, what's one thing you can keep talking about for a long time? What's one thing that makes you mad, right? Ensure that you align your content goals to what you want to achieve. Now, somebody said that she doesn't like unrealistic parenting expectations. To be fair, there are people who just I mean, like people who don't even know what it feels like, and then they just come and then they ramble and ramble and ramble. They just keep talking about the problem. Oh, I've noticed that children are like this. Or I've noticed that children are like this, but they're not preferring any solution. How about you tailor a solution that works for those children? So ensure that whatever it is you're doing aligns with what you want to address. Right. Now, again, please make sure that whatever it is you're doing is relatable. Make sure that it is easily applicable for people. Make sure that people can remember it, because you want a situation where, like I said, there's clarity, you have consistency. People can that you sound like yourself. Oh, when people hear about education, or when people hear about fashion, they're thinking, oh, I know Gift talks about fashion so well, right? When they think about this topic, they're thinking this is the person, because you are top of mind. You have spoken about this thing because you are passionate about it. You've spoken about it continuously, right? So it's very important that you remain memorable. You you ensure that people remember you. Now, another thing is make sure that you go straight to the point. I said one thing at the beginning of this call. You have like 3 seconds. You have 3 seconds to convince people to watch your video. If you are unable to grab that, it might just be people who really like you that will go ahead and continue to watch it, right? It's a crazy place to be because it just shows that the attention span of the world is really reducing by the day or by the time, right? So it's very important that you go straight to the point. As a person, except I'm doing like a vlog, I don't like for my videos to be longer than 1 minute or one, like if it's so long, 1 minute and 30 seconds. That's me stretching it because to be fair, I'm also thinking, do people really want, are they really going to watch it? I mean, I put out videos that are a bit long, and even when I put it out, I'm like, oh guys, I'm so sorry, this video is long, but if you want to watch it, that's great. But it's very important that you go straight to the point. You don't like if you're telling us that you got this, maybe you bought something or you bought a wig. Just tell us like where you got the wig from. Like go straight to the point. There are nice ways to tell a story and then bring it all back to the hair and maybe talk about how maybe before you used to wear like really bad hair and now you found this really good hair. I can relate because there's so many people, many times that people thought they were really buying a nice hair and then the hair got to them and it was like sponge, right? So it's very important to be able to tell a good story. Like I just gave, if you're like maybe it's styling, I just gave you like a nice way to start a video. Talk about how all the wigs used to buy were like sponges, and now you now bought this hair that is so good, and you have to tell us about it, right? So I just wanted to I think those are the major things I would like to really share with you today. Um, and another thing, I mean, there's for marketing, there's a bit of paid ads and all of that. But if you're trying to, I wouldn't say that you should delve into ads if you're just starting. I would say that try and build organically before you start thinking ads. As a person, I've never run any ad personally on any platform. I just do my thing and move. Never placed any ad for any video or any like maybe if I work for a brand and they want to use the video for an ad, they can. But as a person, I have never run an ad before. So there's paid ads, there's paid Facebook ads and all of that, other marketing that you can learn. But because like this is excuse me, because this is more like a content creation call where we're talking about creating content that really connects with people. That's why I've limited it to this. So yeah, that's pretty much all that I have to share with you today. Thank you all so much for listening and for sharing
Thank you
your
so much.
ideas.
Thank you, thank you, thank
Thank
you.
you. I hope
Please
that
let's
this was really worth your time.
it was it is not even was. But thank you everybody. Please let's put our hands together and let's just share with Mosope. Thank you for sharing. For anyone that has been planning to start content for the last few years, this is your sign to do something. I feel like in one way or the other, everyone it just depends whether you're creating content for money or you're just creating content. Because I feel like in every form, everyone is a content creator. Whether it's between you and your husband or your wife at home, and you create content to make them laugh, and or you write on your own personal LinkedIn, or you do something, and in that form, I don't know if I'm ever going to be a content creator for money. I think I rather I don't know, but in some form or shape, I do create content like with the company that I run, whether it's writing, whether it's creating illustrated characters in different shapes. But so the point I'm making is you're already doing the thing that you're afraid of doing for free. And so if this is something that you want to do for money, you must as well just focus on doing it because in one way or form, you're already doing it for free. That people already enjoy. So yeah, just wanted to mention that. But thank you so much, Shakwe, for sharing. Now I would leave the floor open for anyone that has any questions that they'd like to ask Mosope before we close the session. Anyone that wants to ask any questions, you can either mute your mic. You can either mute your mic or you can raise your hand and we would allow you to ask the questions. Anybody? Any questions? I think it was pretty much very instructive. I feel like you should have ended it if you wanted to say it and just say praise the Lord and that's it. But, yeah, but if there are no questions, we just go. So thank you again, Mosope. For anyone that wants to connect with Mosope on LinkedIn, this is our name. So you just have to search on LinkedIn and you'd find a name. And then on Instagram, it's _Mosope, and you see amazing content from but I can see there's an hand raised. I think so. Okay, Lolade, I think you have a question, or is that a mistake?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
Okay. Hi, Mushafe. Thank you for the session. So I wanted to ask, um, have you ever had to deal with people leaving like negative comments on your posts? And if yes, like how do you do that?
Okay. I think it has only happened to me once. And you know what? I've listened to people say something. Is you can block people. Don't be afraid to block people. Right. It had happened to me just once. This person had, I can't remember the video right now, but I remember the person saying something about how maybe how I don't know, the person just left something really negative, maybe saying something about how was it yeah, I remember the video now. It was a video about myself and my friend. We're sharing an experience, and it was like, oh, two grown women that I can't. So you were just saying something about how maybe we were silly and all of that. And honestly, I don't like to engage with those kind of people because to be fair, people who leave negative comments, I believe they're either not real people or they just want to show their folly. And I believe that it's very important to pay no attention to such people. Actually, now that I'm speaking about it, because I said they're not real people, I remember that last year I had a really terrible comment section on TikTok when I had shared my story of moving to Ireland to do my master's, and I just shared how my journey was, and there were so many people in the comments saying, "Oh my God, go back home, go, bro." It was crazy. It was crazy, and you know the crazy thing is there were people. I don't know if those people existed because when I click their account, I don't see anybody. So I just believe that they were not real people, or they were people who were, there's a word they use for these people. They were clearly not brave enough
So
to, yeah, they were not trolls. Thank you. They were not brave enough to actually put their faces there and speak to me, right? So it's very important to pay no attention to those people because they're either not real people or they just want to show who they truly are. And when you see such people, please don't hesitate to take them out. If you feel the need to respond to them, you can do it nicely, right? So that you are not. I know that people say aura for aura, but I'm not such a person. I don't even like to engage with such people. Sometimes you can even leave it there. I've seen I've seen some people who pin those negative comments, and then people who are maybe their followers or the community members would then be the ones to respond to these people. Right. So please don't pay attention to such people because I've realized that those kind of people are people who they probably don't have any good thing going on for them and they want to project, right? So please don't pay attention to such people. There are even some people who wish that they could do what you're doing, but they can't do it. And so the only way they want to try and get noticed is by pulling other people down. So please don't let any of all those things get to you. I believe that they are not real people and they have nothing good to offer. So
Yeah, and I think if it's the case for a brand, my advice has always been typically research the brand you're going to work with first, because if a brand is owing people money and you want to go and do influencer for them, unfortunately, it's you that will come and abuse. Uh,
Yeah.
and so always do you like, yeah, it's great to want to make money, but at least do some level of due diligence to say, what are they saying about these people online first? Like, it's the values, my values. The founder, is it crass? Does he speak in the same language I speak in? Those type of things. So, but more generally, I think what most of us said is like, just block people. Honestly, like, it's peace of mind. Even on WhatsApp, I block. Like, I don't know. Like, if I begin to see your WhatsApp status is stressing me, I don't post anywhere apart from LinkedIn. But like, even when I begin to see WhatsApp status is stressing me, I block them so I don't see it again. Because at the end of the day, you kind of have to protect what feeds you, or else
Yes.
you will realize that you are becoming those people, and then that you've lost the plot already. So you kind of have to protect the thing that comes to you. Like, so even, and it's not even necessarily a bad thing. Like, if I see someone every morning you are abusing Tinubu, in the afternoon you abuse his company, you are, I'm just like, it's so much negativity in my head that I would become you and I'll start abusing everybody too in politics. And I'm just like, nah, I don't need this. And so I think general context is be very cautious about who you work with, but more importantly, block people. I know it's very block people, but because there's a research that says the mind, I can say 100 million things about Lolade. Oh my God, this, and I just say, but the only thing you focus on is the bots. And so naturally, the human being wants to
Gravitate
find that
towards
negative.
that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so kind of have to fire yourself. And lastly, they say if you live for the applause of men, you will live for the criticism of them. So even if they clap for you, honestly, say thank you, but don't let it enter you, because those some of people who come and abuse you tomorrow, especially those people on Twitter. I have not been on Twitter for 8 years. Kind of have to escape those people and just and be sane as well. So yeah, but thank you so much. Any other question?
I just
Any
want to say, in case maybe like along the line anyone has a question, I just want to say that please don't be like, when you eventually start working with brands, don't be afraid to reach out to people to ask questions like, oh, I see that you've worked with this brand before, or I see that you've worked with brands before. How much would you say that they typically can pay? Right? Because I found that sometimes people are either trying to, I don't want to use the word, I, I don't know the word to use, right? But there are times maybe some people, it might be fear, or it might also be, I don't want them to know how much I'm getting paid. But that way you are able to really see what your other counterparts are earning in the industry. So you don't just want to be, oh, I'm to myself, right? It might be someone who has progressed so much. And I'm saying that because I had an experience of this like 2 years ago. I'd worked with a brand and I told them how much I wanted. In fact, it wasn't so much. It was my first time I was going to work with a brand that was going to pay me in euros, and they had reached out to me. I had said how much, and they tried to beat it down. I was like, ah, okay, okay, we can meet at the middle. And then I know like someone else worked with them eventually, and then the person said to me, she said, how much she actually didn't, she just asked me, was it okay to ask? And she said, how much did you charge them? And I said to her how much I charged, and then she was like, oh, that's really small. She said to me that they had reached out to her, and then she had charged them times three of that amount. So sometimes you might be leaving money on the table. However, like I said, make sure that you are putting out value, because your value definitely is what also helps you to be able to bargain. I don't know if this is fit for this, but I just wanted to put that out. Don't be afraid to reach out to people to ask. I mean, definitely there might be some people who might not like you, but it's okay to say to them that, oh, I don't know if this might come off weird, but I would like to ask you. These people are reaching out to me, and I would like to know like what's a reasonable charge, or what's a reasonable price to charge them, right? So, and then there's also the place of researching the brand as well. You can, like, so don't think that you are the only one, or like you are just I don't have so much to ask for. I can't ask for this amount. But I always say that make sure that you are giving value. Don't do shabby work and expect be paid properly, because I've also seen cases where people say, oh, a creator did this, or we even gave them this, and they never delivered on their on their deliverables. They didn't send any video, they didn't do anything. You don't want to be in that place. You want to make sure that you are always giving value, working in excellence. Please don't ever make it a situation where your name is being mentioned in a room and they're like, oh, that girl, she never sends videos when you pay her, right? Make sure you're giving value, do it with excellence. That way it's easier for you to reach out to people. It's even easier for you to have some negotiations, right? So yeah, thank you.
Yeah, and I'll say this from because I'm mostly on the other side of creators. I'm on the brand, and I fight creators a lot, unfortunately. And that's because creators mostly want brands to understand that they are good. Where I think that they want, so you're supposed to be the one to prove to the brand that you're good. And so much of said, look at your Instagram analytics, and I think it's important because when you ask a creator, what do you have? They say I have 10,000 followers. Yeah, but like they're not necessarily going to convert. How many of them is percentage of people that would convert? All of those type of things. So, and there are other metrics that brands look like engagement per audience, engagement, reach per audience. They look at a couple of things. What are the sentiments around your brand? What are the major keywords? So if you guys to go and comment and instead of calling people idiots, it will show when they're looking at your page to kind of understand the nuances and the thing that you always say. And also on the thing of costing as well, because what I've realized is that because Mr. Presley charges, for example, 10,000 euros for content, doesn't mean you should charge 10,000 if you're not at the point. Like, you kind of have to be able to say that, yes, I'm okay with collecting 5K for now, but my intention is to grow into 10K as well. So it shouldn't be that, because what is happening within the creator space, which is why a lot of brands are complaining, everyone is benchmarking against each other, not against the value that they provide. And it doesn't work that way. If I'm paying Mosope 10,000 euros, it's because I have a perceived value that I would get for her. If I choose to pay you 5,000 euro, you shouldn't say, but you paid Mosope 10K. It's two different ball games as well. Another last trick that I would say, at least from the brand side, be multi-platform. Try to be on multi-platforms. Brands or creators that have audiences across multi-platform that they can cross-create across those platforms are able to charge extremely more and are able to win in those kind of things. So if you have audience across multiple platforms, Instagram is fading out little by little for creators. TikTok is getting stronger. So if you can build a brand on TikTok, Instagram is still going strong because you have the highest number of reach on Instagram. You cannot get the highest number of reach on any other platform like Instagram. But platforms like Snapchat, TikTok, and YouTube are beginning to gain a lot of ad spend. And so you can consider start building around that as well. And most brands are looking for people that have cross-channel capabilities. And uh, so in case your proposal comes to my table, this is the thing that I will look for in those type of examples. So yeah, but thank you. Are there any other questions? No. Okay, so please let's put our hands together for Mosope and tell her thank you. Thank you, everybody. Thank you for joining. This has been an amazing session. This has been very insightful. And I just want to say thank you to everyone for spending the time. So our next session is going to be at the end of next month. So if you have anything, just let us know. If you have any feedback, you can send an email to hello@motioninspires.com, and we'll really look forward to seeing you in the next session. So thank you again, everybody, and have an amazing weekend. God bless you.
Thank you so much. Bye.